Fantasy Football Pregame with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
We are live and on site at Applebee's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome into Fantasy Football Pregame. Proud to be here in the Steel City, getting ready for the Sunday night matchup with the Cowboys and the Steelers.
Yeah, look
we
at
got
this.
the whole
Look
crew
at me.
here. Matthew Berry hyping up the crowd. I'm
Look
George
at me
Savaricas.
sucking up to the locals. That's right.
Jake Croucher. We got Lawrence Hollywood Jackson with us for week number 5. I mean, we couldn't be more excited to be here.
Appreciate that.
The fans are showing out, and they are ready for what's going to be a big show these next couple hours. Guys, let's get right to our storylines out of the gates. And, of course, we want everyone to get into this. We got the Sunday night matchup, Cowboys and the Steelers, Sunday night football. So my question, not just to the audience at home on Peacock, but to everyone here, is this going to be the week that Justin Fields officially locks down this starting job? Is this going to be the time that Mike Tomlin finally says, Justin Fields, you are the starter for the rest of the season? What do you guys think?
Yes, I think he already has the job. I think the only
Yeah.
Like, do we have any Russell Wilson supporters in the house? I don't think so, right? It's Justin Fields. He's 3-1. He's 3-1, and I think he leads them to a victory tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's done. I think that just what he showed, particularly against the Colts, where that was a game where he had to drop back, and they knew that he was in a drop-back situation the whole time. He was still able to lead them back. They really should have won that game off those 2 wonky fumbles, so I think this is Fields' job now.
All right, you got a Cowboys-Steelers headline as well, Jay.
I do. So my storyline is the Dallas Cowboys, and...
Thank you.
But
someone has to be the heel.
He is used to hearing boos. It's fine.
But my storyline is that the Dallas Cowboys are terrible.
Yes.
And he wins it back.
And the question is in fantasy, can you start anyone outside of Dak Prescott? And you might not even be able to start Dak, but CeeDee Lamb, he's obviously automatic. Jake Ferguson is a tight end. But outside of that, like, this is a Cowboys team where the offensive line has really struggled. Now they're going to have T.J. Watt teeing off against the rookie left tackle. And just who else is viable on this Dallas offense? Like Rico Dowdle, Jalen Tolbert. These aren't fun names. So I think that the Cowboys could be in for a long night.
Yeah, look, I completely agree with you. I mean, I have Dak Prescott outside my top 10 this week. I don't think he's an every week automatic starter. I'm with you. It's Lamb and it's Ferguson. Dak doesn't run. And depending on game script, he may not be throwing a ton. So, to me, yeah, I don't think he's an automatic start. I think he's weirdly matchup dependent.
Yeah. Dak might be running tonight.
Yes,
he might be running for his life.
No, which is understood. But, I mean, in a week in which 4 teams are off bye, and then obviously by the time we get to, we've got Rodgers and Darnold off the list already. So the ranks will move up a little bit. But, yeah, he's not a top 10 play for me tonight.
Yeah. For me, the story this week, we got a lot of big names out in fantasy. Guys like Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, Malik Neighbors. So can guys like Trey Sermon, Cam Akers, because those are guys who will be in starting fantasy lineups, can they step up to the plate and fill that void? Malik Neighbors, some people might have to start Darius Slayton out there. So my storyline will be, can these backups step up and be viable in fantasy this week?
That's a great question.
You got the notable players that are already ruled out. Lawrence hit a couple. No Jalen Warren tonight in the Sunday night matchup.
And no Cordero Patterson. It should be a lot of Najee Harris tonight. Nick Chubb's not going to make his ways back. Devontae Adams probably has played his last game as a Raider. He's got the hamstring injury. He also hates the team. They seem to hate him. We'll figure that out. Khalil Shakur's not going to play. Looks like more reps for Curtis Samuel. It's kind of interesting. And Romeo Doubs, like, that's not injury related. That's just being a jerk related. Like, just, I mean, like, I guess. Like,
skipping practice Thursday, Friday, and then they say suspended again.
Yeah.
Is Romeo Doubs the lowest profile player to ever pull this? I can't remember.
That's a great question.
Usually
Maybe.
it's Devontae Adams who does this, not
Right.
Romeo Doubs. But, oh well.
You had Robbie Anderson walk out the field last year for the
true.
Panthers or the Cardinals, one of them. So that's like the same level right there.
Yeah. Isn't that Robbie Chosen?
What I say, Anderson?
Yeah.
He done had like 7 different names. I don't even know. Chosen, Robbie.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you that my storyline is, this is going to shock you people, but it's about my Commanders. Woo! My first place. Yeah, there we go. Hail the Commanders. Hail victory. Here we go. We're 3-1. We're in first place in the NFC East, and this is weird territory for us. Like, I'm not used to having hope. I don't know what to do. And so my question is I don't know as a fan, like, I'm nervous. Can the Commanders, we have seen a week of hype. And maybe it's partially who I follow, but like every single thing on Instagram and Twitter has been nothing about like Jane Daniels this award, Jane Daniels this, but and it's just so we've seen nothing but hype and smoke blown up the Commanders. And so my question is can they handle sort of this hype? And they're now playing as favorites. They're home favorites to the Browns, a team that a lot of people thought were going to be very good, and a hungry, desperate Browns team. Can the Commanders continue their fantasy success? Can Jane Daniels, who's QB1 in fantasy, keep going? Brian Robinson's going to be back today. McLaurin's had some success as well. This is their biggest test, I think, in terms of a good defense and a desperate one.
Listen to you, Matt. You're uncomfortable.
I am.
You're more comfortable being in pain.
Yes.
And yes. Settling into low expectations.
Yes.
It's very unsettling.
Yes,
Now
exactly.
you gotta win.
No, I know. It's it's like we talked about on the show this week. I'm in the cave with Bane. It's like
I don't understand that.
Yeah,
at
you
all.
can't have true despair without hope. And that's what I've been in that cave staring up, and all of a sudden there's a chance at daylight here. I don't know. It's
You're too worried. You're like Icarus.
I'm nervous.
You're going to fly too close to the
a
sun.
little bit. Yeah.
We'll see what happens with the Commanders.
Yeah.
If they're able. You keep waiting for them to fall back to earth. If they win this in convincing fashion, and they're 4-1, then you got to start fully buying it.
We're gonna have 1,000%. This is a big game. This is a big game for the Commanders. And so anyway, because there's a lot of fantasy relevant players on the team, I think that's my storyline for today.
All right, so we want your questions. Hashtag FF Pregame. We want questions here at Applebee's.
Well, yeah.
We got our Danielle, our all-star
Yes,
state
yes,
manager, who's going to be running point on that. So we're going to be taking questions here at Applebee's throughout the show. Of course, we got an NFL game that's already underway in London. The Vikings blowing out the Jets right now, 17-0. And for Applebee's fans, we've already had a pick six. Compliments of Andrew Van Ginkel. This was a 63-yard interception return. Aaron Rodgers, a pick six. So you know what that means. If there's a pick six, this year marks the first season that Applebee's is the official grill plus bar sponsor of the NFL. And to help celebrate, Applebee's just kicked off its new Applebee's Pick Six Mondays this football season. A pick six during any NFL Sunday game will unlock 6 free boneless wings like what we have on the table the next day on Monday at Applebee's for both dine-in and to-go. For those unfamiliar with the term, like the Commanders secondary, a pick six is when an interception is made by a defensive player who runs it back for a touchdown, scoring 6 points. Today, first eligible day for this offer. So we got 6 free boneless wings for America on Monday, and just
come
update.
Come into your local Applebee's tomorrow. You've got 6 free boneless wings. Thank you, Van Ginkel, and thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
His first name is Andrew. His first name isn't Van.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but so whatever. I'm using his last name. By the way, it's actually 17-7. Alan Lazard caught a touchdown as well because, of course, he did. Not Garrett Wilson, not Breece Hall. It was Alan Lazard, who will never go away.
How soon I forget
Yeah.
fantasy football all-star Alan Lazard, who has had quite the season in the making.
Yeah.
Should we settle in now with some burning questions?
Please, roll
Okay.
that graphic. Let's see it.
Right out of the gates, we're going to start with Dolphins at Patriots. I mean, one of the lowest over-unders we have this week. Miami somehow -1 in this. And
There's the graphic.
35.5 is the over-under. Nothing warms my heart more than seeing me being held over the flame with that graphic. With the Dolphins, can you start any, and I'm talking any, Miami skill players this week with Tyler Snoop Huntley getting his second straight start?
So, can you? Yes, you can. You have the ability to go on your app and hit click to put somebody into your
physical app you can do.
physical app on the website. Yeah, so yes, you can. You have that ability. Should you is a better question, George Savaricas. And the answer is like, depends on how desperate you are. I'll just tell you that I have Achane just barely inside, Achane barely inside my top 20. I have Tyreek Hill just outside my top 20 as well. Those are the only 2 guys that I would consider starting in this game. Last 2 weeks for Achane, averaging under 8 fantasy points per game. Miami has the second lowest implied team total. Raheem Mostert is back. The concern here, but Achane again is one of those guys that if they get in close, they might lean on him, and all he needs is kind of one big play. That's the other thing with Tyreek Hill. My expectation here is, given the limitations of Huntley, that Mike McDaniels figures out ways to manufacture touches for his two most explosive players, which is Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane. So I would lower expectations. I'm starting Achane and Hill in the leagues that I have them, just because with 4 teams on a bye and injuries, I just don't have any better options.
Yeah.
But I have lower expectations. I will tell you, though, what I do have is Dollar Zombies.
Yeah.
Like, they make the Miami Patriots game go down easy. I will tell you that. I intend to
kind
drink
of
many
Miami
these.
colors too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right?
it is. This is your way of saying, like, listen,
Little aqua.
yeah, you don't have to watch it.
So Applebee's celebrating Halloween all month long with the return of the Dollar
goes down easy.
Zombie $1 cocktail. Matthew just enjoyed a mixture of rum, passion fruit, pineapple, cherry lime, and gummy brain garnish, which you're going to need for a 2-hour fantasy football pregame show.
Dude, yeah.
You got to feed the mind with
these
Dollar
coming.
Zombies.
Keep these coming.
Who's the betting favorite to finish the Dollar Zombie first?
Oh, it would be Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry's minus 1,000 based on his previous efforts last season, where he tried to run him out of stock.
The over cash.
Yeah, the outlines cashed as well that day.
Yeah.
Dig into your chicken wings.
Game number 2 with our why wouldn't you? With our burning questions here, we have the 2-2 Colts. Joe Flacco making the start. Anthony Richardson out. Jonathan Taylor out. To the winless 0-4 Jaguars. The Jags are -3. The over/under is 45. First question: Trey Sermon, is he a must start with JT out?
Yeah, I don't think it's a must start, because
You're not quite going there.
right, with Joe Flacco in there, there's some good things that can happen with that fantasy-wise from a passing perspective. But from a running perspective, now you don't have the threat of Anthony Richardson to run that ball. So that'll affect their run game, because now you got Flacco. It's a straight drop back passing game. But if you had Jonathan Taylor on your fantasy team and you're subbing him with Trey Sermon, then you probably must start him in that scenario.
Yeah, I think the thing with Trey Sermon is he's not Jonathan Taylor, so the expectations are lower. I think the other thing, too, is that Anthony Richardson being out hurts the running game, because Anthony Richardson, he just takes another man out of the box. So Trey Sermon, again, I would be expecting 50, 55 rushing yards, couple of catches, and then you hope that he gets in the end zone.
We got a question in the house from Ron. Way to tag Applebee's as well. In a guillotine league, Ford, Sermon, or Tutu in the flex position?
I think it's Jerome Ford.
I'll go Ford.
Ford for me. Again, in a guillotine league, you're looking for floor, not upside. And Ford, I feel better about the matchup against my Commanders, and I feel better about the workload. Trey Sermon
He'll get the most touches.
He should get the most touches. I mean, again, Trey Sermon should be the guy that so far this year there have been 11 running back touches on the Colts that have not been Jonathan Taylor, and Trey Sermon's gotten 10 of them. Right? You know, Tyler Goodson got the other one. So I would expect that to the extent that they're trying to run the ball against Jacksonville, Sermon gets the carries, but I don't know how good he's going to be, to be perfectly honest, right? It's not a great matchup, by the way. Jags have allowed the 7th fewest rushing yards to opposing running backs so far. They're giving only 3.7 yards per carry up. I think that the way you beat the Jacksonville Jaguars is to attack that secondary with comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco.
He did win that award.
He won that award. A lot of people didn't think he would, but he did. And, you know, obviously, listen, the emergence of Josh Downs, I think, is kind of interesting. 32% target share in week 4. Jacksonville gives up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So, really like Josh Downs as a sleeper today. Obviously, you're going to have Pittman involved. They'll probably take some shots to Alec Pierce and A.D. Mitchell.
I think Pittman's the guy, is the story, because Pittman has been almost unstartable to this point. But now his receiving prop set at 64.5 receiving yards. I think we're going to see the Michael Pittman of the past couple of years today.
Which we saw a lot of when Gardner Minshew was slinging it last year for the Colts when they nearly made the playoffs. And keep the questions coming. Hashtag FF pregame throughout the show. And we're going to need some audience participation soon, so we would love if anyone has a question in the house. We got Danielle over here to the left, so please feel free to hop on up. We want you to be part of the show here at Applebee's. Next game, the 1-3 Arizona Cardinals on the road at the 2-2 San Francisco 49ers. Niners, big number here, -7.5, over under 48.5. If you're a Niners fan, and this is a guy who his ADP was high beginning of the season, obviously had that holdout, but started week number 1. Brandon Ayuk. Are we getting to the point now of the season that we're pressing that panic button, or more patience with Ayuk?
I think the button has been firmly pressed, and now you can start to kind of release your finger from the button. I think that Ayuk, the thing is like him, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, they've all underwhelmed a little bit. Chase has turned it around, but he's done a lot for big plays. I think that Ayuk, he's just too talented for this to endure. Brock Purdy is looking better than he did last year, so I think this is going to turn around, and that Ayuk, in a very favorable matchup for Arizona, wouldn't be surprised at all if he's back to being a top 10 wide receiver.
Before we get to the Sunday night game, we got a question to our left, and of course,
what do you got? Oh, here we go. There we go. Look at this guy, Terry.
We come all the way to Pittsburgh.
Terry McLaurin showed up. What's up? What's your name?
My name is Josh.
All right, Josh, and you're a Commanders fan. God bless.
I am a Commanders fan. Been cursed with this since birth. So.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Everything you said in the beginning, my spirit animal. I get it.
Fair enough. All right, Josh, what is your question?
So here's my question. I'm in a full PPR league, and Malik Neighbors went down. I've got Jalen Waddle on my bench, who I currently have in my lineup. My question is it worth it to drop the guy on the end of my bench to grab Xavier Leggett or Jordan Whittington, or should I roll with Waddle? I know your rankings say Leggett the most right now, but like for long term, like is it worth the investment, or should I keep another lottery pick on my bench essentially?
I would absolutely make that drop. I like both guys. I both Leggett and Whittington. Whittington had, they're targeting week 7 for Cooper Kupp's return, so we'll see about the long-term viability of Whittington when Kupp comes back, but obviously Puka Nacua out further. But Leggett is legit, and it doesn't seem like they're going to go back to Bryce Young anytime soon. So, over 20% target share. It's not a great matchup on the road at Chicago, but yes, I like both those guys, and I think I would rank them Leggett over Whittington, just more draft capital and, more of an assured role. Like the Panthers, he's going to be their number 2 guy for the rest of the year. I don't know if anyone disagrees. Or
yeah, I agree. I know it's kind of icky to bench Jalen Waddle for Xavier Leggett, but at the same time, yeah, it is. It is very much the troubling world that we live in these days, where you have to bench Jalen. Like Jalen Waddle on DraftKings, he's at a 36.5 receiving yards. Like that's less than Darius Slayton. Like that's where we're at with Jalen Waddle. So I agree, Leggett would be the guy for me.
Appreciate it, guys.
And also just for your roster, but hail victory.
Hail Commanders, hail victory. There we go.
Thank you for the question.
All right, there you go. That's Josh. Give it up for Josh. That's, by the way, it's not easy to get on national TV and he was smooth, he was confident, he was calm.
George is in trouble. George is in big trouble.
I agree. You said the quiet part out loud, but yes, obviously.
Remember last year, I went from the guy on the couch tweeting the show to
anything can happen.
To fill in host.
Just goes to show anything can happen.
It could be you.
It could be you.
All right.
It might be somebody here at Applebee's for the second hour. We don't know. Josh is a strong contender.
All right, this next game, and I want the crowd getting into this one. We need to hear who you think's going to win this matchup. Sunday Night Football, 2-2 Cowboys at the 3-1 Steelers. Steelers -3, over under 43.5. Who's winning this game? What are we thinking?
There we go.
I agree.
There we go.
Let's go.
Definitely agree.
How about who's the better start this week, Justin Fields or Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
What do we think on the desk here? We following the crowd at Applebee's?
Yeah, I mean, I have Fields 4 spots higher than Dak Prescott. Back-to-back games with a rushing touchdown. He's had 5 goal-to-go rushing attempts over that stretch. No Cordero Patterson, no Jalen Warren. So you do think that they will use Justin Fields' legs. Arthur Smith likes to run the ball. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of Najee tonight, but it's worth noting that the Cowboys are bottom 5 in the NFL in terms of most rushing yards and most rushing touchdowns allowed to opposing quarterbacks this season. No Micah Parsons in this game. Their defense is banged up. I think this is a big game for Pittsburgh. It's a big game for both of them. It's a great game for us on Sunday Night Football. But there's a reason the Steelers are favored by a field goal here, and I think they win.
Yep, I agree. Like, who's going to tackle Justin Fields on the Cowboys? Like, they have nothing left. The rush defense is terrible.
Note, too, last week in Week 4 against the Giants, Trayvon Diggs got beat by Malik Neighbors twice. Daniel Jones just couldn't get the ball out there ahead of him. So George Pickens, I think he's got one big play in him. He's been getting those every single week. So look out for George Pickens as well.
The other thing is that we've talked about this. The Dallas offense has struggled. It's been fairly one-dimensional. They haven't been able to effectively run the ball so far this year. No Brandon Cooks in this game, so they've got a little bit of Jalen Tolbert, but really, like, it's a one-dimensional, because Dak doesn't give you much with his legs either. It's a fairly one-dimensional offense that is that is CeeDee Lamb, who's amazing, my guy Aids, and Jake Ferguson, but that's it. And just given how well this Steelers defense has played, Dak Prescott, I think this is a bet you gave out last week, Jay, but Dak Prescott is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. TJ Watt gets home.
He's going to be getting sacked tonight.
Yeah, exactly. TJ Watt's getting home at least once or twice tonight.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think in a weird way, even though the Steelers lost last week, Justin Fields now has opened up the playbook a bit where I think Arthur Smith has more trust in him. He had 312 yards passing, 55 yards rushing, 367 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. He showed what he can do. Obviously, the game script forced him to throw more. But I think the Justin Fields we're seeing week 5 very different than the Justin Fields week 1. We got a question we need to get to.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Right here. We got fans of all ages.
Look at this. Now, who's this young lady?
What's your name? Mira.
Mira. Hi, Mira. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a question.
What do you got? What's your name?
My name's Andrew.
Okay, Andrew.
And I got a fantasy lineup question for my flex spot. I got Amari Cooper, I got Christian Kirk, and I got Kareem Hunt. And I'm scared to do any of them because I feel like whoever I choose is not going to happen. So I need your advice, obviously.
I appreciate that, and that's awesome. My daughters are 13. I no longer get to hold them like that. It's a bummer. I miss being them. I tell them stay little forever. So enjoy that. That's awesome.
Try every day.
Being a girl dad is awesome. I'm going to say Amari Cooper. The target share has been there. The number 1 wide receivers against my Commanders, even in wins. Marvin Harrison scored last week. Obviously, Jamar Chase had a monster game against them. Malik Neighbors had a big game against them. So I think Amari Cooper, to me, and quietly we talked about this, guys, but Deshaun Watson, for all, actually looked better. They're getting their offensive line back, too. Their offensive line's a lot healthier, and Njoku's back today as well, so he's going to have a lot more protection against the Commanders' defensive line.
Yeah, I think people are worried that Amari Cooper might be a little bit checked out, weird stuff going on. I go the other way on that. He's auditioning for the rest of the league. He might want to get out of there, get traded, and this is a big opportunity to do that against a secondary that's not too flat.
Yeah, and let's not forget he had an 82-yard touchdown called back by a ticky-tack hole. That would have completely changed his game in fantasy last week. So Amari Cooper is their team's wide receiver 1, whereas to Christian Kirk, you got Brian Thomas Jr. Yep. That's their guy, so definitely I agree with Matthew here with Cooper.
Yeah, and the Chiefs' run game, if you had to start one, Hunt's the guy, but you don't feel great about that whole situation.
About any of them.
Yeah.
But I do have Cooper in my lineup now, so that's who I trusted. So I'm glad you guys also feel the same way.
Go with your gut.
Yeah.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Nice to meet you, Mira. We have a very humble fan here. We got to check out the shirt.
I like this.
You gotta let them know.
Yeah.
Gotta let them know.
It ain't bragging if it's true. Ain't bragging if it's true. What's your name?
Matt.
I like the name. I like the T-shirt. All right. There you go. All right, Matt. What's your question?
So you're not going to like this question, but I have to say it. What's the status the rest of the season for your ride or die, Kyler Murray?
Yeah, no, I get the question. It's fair. It's a fair question. Obviously I should have gone with Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to get better. He has never not finished a year as a top 10 fantasy quarterback, and so I can't imagine that this is the year that all of a sudden he doesn't. I know that's been up and down. He's had one monster game, he's had one okay game, and a couple of duds in there, but the team isn't great. He gets Trey McBride back this week as well. I don't have any great stats to tell you why you should point there, but I think that there was a lot that was made about the Commanders, about the fact that they didn't use Kyler Murray in the run game, which is weird. He had only one designed run, and so I think they will get back to that in using his legs. But I'm biased, so I will turn it to my esteemed panel that has no problem dumping all over me.
Look, Kyler Murray is my fantasy quarterback in several leagues, and I'm starting him without even blinking. It's one game. The league is week to week. He'll get back on track, and he actually has success previously against the San Francisco 49ers. So have faith in that there.
Yeah, I think the thing is, too, Matt, is that Marvin Harrison Jr. has played 4 games in the NFL, right? He's his number 1 wide receiver. They're going to get more of a rapport as it goes on throughout the season. So I think Kyler Murray will be fine.
I think if Trey McBride comes back from his concussion.
He's expected to play today. So.
And Murray gives you such a good floor usually with his rushing totals that he's able to put in. So I'm with you. I would maintain Murray ownership for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it obviously depends what the other options are, but listen, ride or die means ride or die. So I am riding with him. Okay. Matt, thanks so much, and congratulations on back-to-back fantasy championship.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
All right, there you go.
See if Murray leads him
one
to
more.
number 3.
Old school Steelers.
Love these jerseys.
Hey, I'm Angelo. Nice to see you, Matthew.
Hey, Angelo. We got the old school. We got the Bumblebee going.
We do.
All right, Angelo, what's your question?
All right, so I'm in a keeper league, and I've had Christian McCaffrey since he was drafted into the league. Obviously, he hasn't been playing it all this year. I also have Jordan Mason. Should I be shopping Christian McCaffrey around right now, or even Jordan Mason? And if I am shopping Christian McCaffrey, who do you think I should be going for out of every player in the league right now for such a top-tier player?
Before we answer that, let me ask you a question because this is a Dynasty League question, so let me ask you a question. Because in my opinion, in Dynasty, you have to be in one of two modes and only one of two modes. You're either going for it this year or you're rebuilding for the future. So where's the rest of your team?
I'm 3-1 right now. I'm in second place, and I'm only in second because of points. I'm down by like 30 points. So I'm feeling good. I've got Josh Allen as my quarterback. I've got Nico Collins as my top wide receiver.
He's going for it.
So I feel like I'm in win mode right now.
Yeah, then I wouldn't do anything. I think you're in perfect, the fact that you have Jordan Mason and McCaffrey, which is great. You have the 49ers running back, and I think that's going to be a very productive position throughout the season. If you didn't have one of them, then we would talk sort of through strategies. But because you have both of them, stay put, enjoy the ride, go get that title.
That's a nice
roster. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Go get him, Angelo.
Go get him, Andrew. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. By the way, all right. By the way, Danielle, I want to buy those guys drinks. Every one of those guys gets a drink that just came up in here and asked a question as well. Yeah.
That's a way to win some friends.
Absolutely. By the way, they're $1. So it's not like
Wait, hold on. Can I say that same line too? Danielle, get them all drinks. Can I do that too?
You can try.
Get these guys some drinks.
More shot for shot.
Drinks on me. Everyone that had the guts to come up here and ask a question. Cheers, boys.
There we go.
To victory.
To Applebee's.
To Applebee's and the Commanders.
So good. Two things we love.
Two things we love.
We also love shot for shot.
Oh yeah.
Predictions that you feel real confident in. So Matthew, we're going to start with you. Round number 1, right out of the gates. This is a guy that I picked before shot for shot, and you ridiculed me. But at this point in the season, it makes sense.
It does. And by the way, so we're not actually doing shots. We're drinking from the Dollar Zombies, right?
The sweet nectar.
Yeah, the sweet. The sweet
zombie nectar.
I will tell you, they go down easy.
Really?
They go down
real easy.
It's the zombie gummy garnish.
Yeah,
it's
might
every
be.
time.
All right, so here's my first one. Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, Matthew. Let's get through this. Let's get through
Patrick
it.
Mahomes, not a top 12 quarterback this week. Over his last 15 games, Mahomes has finished as a top 10 fantasy quarterback once. Playing the Saints on Monday Night Football, Mahomes will have another down week. He will not be a top 12 fantasy quarterback this week, just like he hasn't been for quite some time.
Okay, my first shot, Jordan Mason goes over 10.5 receiving yards. He quietly got more involved in the receiving game. Last week, he had almost 40 yards through the air and also had a 38-yard touchdown pass that got called back because of a garbage hold against George Kittle. So I think Jordan Mason gets involved in the receiving game again.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say Derrick Henry will have a third straight week of being a top 3 fantasy running back, or Lamar Jackson's going to be the top fantasy quarterback this week because the Bengals are going to have to pick their poison. You're either going to have to try to stop the run, and if you do that, Lamar's going to drop 300 passing yards on your head. So that's my first shot right there.
Launch.
I like it.
Hedge Jackson there with an either or.
So what's the prediction again?
The key word here is or. The key word is or.
Hollywood hedge over here.
I think the Ravens or the Bengals will win that game.
Yeah. You might be close with that.
I just want to lock in a win. So I was diving deep into the props last night. I was watching Cal Miami to the end. I'm going with King
Cal
Henry
got screwed.
here.
I'm just going to say that. Cal got screwed by
it's targeting.
How was that not targeting?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane to blow that lead. All right, but we'll save that for another time. Derrick Henry, his receiving prop is at 7.5 receiving yards. He's cashed this 3 straight games. His last 3 games, he's averaged 15 yards receiving. He's going to go over 7.5 receiving yards this week against the Bengals. Round number 2 we go.
All right, round number 2. Dontavian Wicks. It is Wicks season, SZN. Wicks is a top 20 wide receiver this week. 24% target share last week for the Packers. That was a team high. Rams, by the way, bottom 10 in terms of most fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. Christian Watson not going to play due to injury. Romeo Doubs not going to play due to diva-ness, which I think is sort of a word. But
not a word.
It is going to be Dontavian Wicks, top 20 play today for the Pack.
Okay, I'm going Brandon Ayuk over 59.5 receiving yards. I think this is the week he gets back on track. This Cardinals secondary has nothing. Brock Purdy had a game last year where it was only one incomplete pass that he had against the Cardinals all game. So Ayuk's too good. He gets back on track, 60-plus yards.
All right, my second shot won't be an or. It'll be an and. Jaden Daniels will finish as a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the Commanders will cover the alt line -5.5.
Let's go!
And will beat the Cleveland Browns. Jaden Daniels has finished as a top 5 fantasy quarterback 3 out of his 4 games, and 2 of those were top 3. Now, the Browns do allow the 8th fewest points to fantasy quarterbacks, but that was against Gardner Minshew. That ain't no Jaden Daniels. That was against Daniel Jones. That was against Trevor Lawrence. None of them are Jaden Daniels, so he's going to lead them to the promised land again.
I like that. You hear that, Josh? You hear that? Hail the Commanders. Hail victory.
Just trying to get on Matthew's good side, aren't you, Lawrence?
Right.
I'm just a big Jaden Daniels guy.
Yeah. Faith in 5
Because he watches
for good
football.
reason.
He understands. Exactly. Who isn't a big Jay
Little
Daniels?
bit.
How could he not be? He's been torching the NFL through 4 weeks.
Maybe Coach of the Year Kevin Stefanski. He's the only person who's not a Jaden Daniels guy. Exactly right.
My next guy had 1 foot in the fantasy football grave through 3 weeks.
Why'd you look at Jay when you said that?
I'm 32 years old and fighting healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're very vibrant.
Yeah.
Very vibrant.
Then last week, out of nowhere, like a phoenix from the ashes,
Wow.
he has risen. Javonte Williams had 16 carries for 77 yards against the Jets defense. This week, he's going to be a top 20 running back, going to have 100 total yards and a touchdown against the Raiders in their 24th ranked run defense. He's going to hit the over. His rushing prop is at 50.5 rushing yards. It's going to be Javonte Williams' season as we're in the month of October now.
All right.
I don't think anyone saw that coming.
I like it. I didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone saw Denver's performance last week coming as well. All right, last one here. Tyrone Tracy, backup running back for the New York Giants. He's going to get the start today with Devin Singletary out. Tyrone Tracy is a top 25 running back this week. Devin Singletary was averaging almost 16 touches a game. I think that Tracy, who is a very good pass catcher, he's a converted wide receiver from college. This is a guy that both Connor Rogers and myself talked up a lot in the preseason in negative game script, which is what we expect the Giants to be in. They're basically a touchdown underdog on the road at Seattle. No Malik Neighbors, so it's going to be Wando Robinson and Tyrone Tracy out of the backfield. By the way, this may come up a little bit later, but he's available more than 80% of Yahoo leagues. Tyrone Tracy, top 25 day, coming for the Giants backup running back.
A little teaser there from Matthew.
Yes, indeed. All right. Stephon Diggs, he gets in the end zone today. He's plus 145 on DraftKings. Means about a 40% chance. I think he's more likely than that because I think that they're going to skew the playbook once they get to the goal line to over-index on Diggs because I don't think he likes the Buffalo Bills. I'm not sure the Buffalo Bills like him. And I think that there is some bad blood there. And I think that Diggs, they're going to go out of their way to get him the ball in the end zone.
Dare you say revenge game
Yes.
for Stephon Diggs?
Yes, revenge season.
All right, for my last shot, how can I not go back to the Cowboys at Pittsburgh Steelers here
we
on
go.
NBC, right?
Company man.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to go Najee Harris and Justin Fields. And for the folks that don't know, I like to be very exact on my predictions, right? So Najee Harris and Justin Fields will combine for 136 rushing yards against the Dallas Cowboys, who allow almost 105 rushing yards to running backs and 32 rushing yards to quarterbacks. So Justin Fields and Najee Harris will do their thing against the Cowboys on the ground, and of course, they gonna come back with that W. So we gonna throw that in there too.
Let's go.
All right, my last shot here, and I want you guys to react and be as loud as you've been all show here on Fantasy Football Pregame. We're looking at the Sunday night matchup. Am I going to take the Cowboys +3 or the Steelers -3? What do you guys think? I'm going.
You tell me.
Come on, Steelers to cover.
Yeah.
There we go.
They're going to go
There we go.
4-1. Easy cover for the Steelers tonight on
like
Sunday Night Football.
Let's go. Let's go. Steal up.
As they say in the Steel
Not
City.
the same.
All right. Curtain down.
Yep.
How about that?
Steal them down.
No, I don't think that one works either. We're going to workshop.
Stay still.
Stay still. I like that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're getting warmer.
Yeah. Look at this. People waiting to get in. We appreciate it. Look at that.
We got Proper Shot coming up.
There
there we
Pirates,
go.
there we go.
You know where we are. Action Jackson in the house for the Baltimore Ravens.
Lawrence, what is he wearing? What is that shirt, Lawrence?
Not something I'll be wearing. But that's Lamar Jackson, though.
I know,
Lamar
but
Jackson can
he's
wear
your
that,
guy.
not Lawrence Jackson.
He's your guy, Lawrence.
That's him. He got
Defend that shirt.
He got that.
Aaron Jones out for the rest of the game. Thank you. Oh, Lawrence, the zombie leader. Njoku and Ingram out.
Njoku's out too?
No, Njoku in. Welcome back to Fantasy Football Pregame Week 5. We are at Applebee's in Pittsburgh getting ready for the Sunday night game. Cowboys at Steelers. How about the Commanders? Getting warm, and they're trying to move to 4-1 on the season at home against the Browns. How about this warm-up? Shooting a little hoops?
Good form.
Good form. Just making it right.
Yeah, he about to drop 36 fantasy points.
Get him to the Wizards.
Here's who's in. Here's who's out. Brian Robinson Jr., active. David Njoku, active. Anthony Richardson, out. Evan Ingram, since tweaking that hammy week 2, this is now his 4th straight game he will miss. And let's now take a look. That's the early games. How about in the late games? Some of the notable players we have that are either questionable or will make a start. Looks like Alvin Kamara, who is questionable, should be good to go. Singletary, Christian Watson out. Zamir White with the groin injury out. So we got some questions to get to here. Hashtag FF Pregame, been taking them from the audience, as well as on Peacock and on YouTube. So now let's see what we have. There's
There we go. What do we
there's
got?
the noise. We got Robinson Jr., Harris, Swift, or Kirk. Start 2 PPR from Matthew.
Let's see. So
I think it's
definitely Robinson. It's definitely Robinson, and
I think it's Najee.
I think it's Najee.
Yeah, gotta go Najee.
Yeah, I think it's those two. I think just volume of work. I know Robinson's been banged up this week, but just He scored 4 touchdowns in 4 games. He's scored in 3 out of 4 games so far this year. Just with Swift, I know Swift had the big game last week, but I don't know that I love Chicago's offense. Christian Kirk has been good the last 2 weeks, and Kenny Moore, the slot corner for the Colts, is out. So honestly, I'll tell you this, Matthew, I don't think you can screw this up because I actually like all 4 players this week, but I think you've got the best chance at touchdowns and volume with Robinson and Harris. So I think we agree there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Matthew, bringing some serious star power. We have all the celebrities who have joined us here.
Yeah,
Money
for
Manziel
sure.
has a
let's
question
go.
for us.
That's a great jersey.
All right, here we go. That's
Great
awesome.
jersey.
Johnny Football. What's going on? What's your real name?
Joe from Slippery Rock.
Okay. What's your question, Joe from Slippery Rock?
So as you guys can tell, I'm all about the money here on Sundays. Hook me up a money line parlay. As many legs as you want. As soon as you tell me it, I'm putting it in on DraftKings.
Oh, we love that.
Let's turn to our
Let's,
Go ahead, Jay.
Let's do this together, a little group project. I like the Buffalo Bills as underdogs against the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but I like the Commanders, who are only minus 155 against the Browns. So those
All right.
2 favorites, I
Both
think.
money line?
Yeah. And then, as the third one, I think I like the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, come on.
There we go.
There we go.
3-team parlay.
There we go. I'll also say this. Giants at Seattle, the over-under is 42.5. I like the over there. Just feels like there's some junk from the Giant. The Seahawks have been so good offensively. They've been so good at home, and I think the Giants in catch-up mode put together some. So I kind of like the over there, but I would go with Jay's parlay there. I think it's pretty good.
Appreciate you guys. Really love listening to you guys. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, man.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Gig 'em Mags.
Oh, we got a brave fan here.
Oh, we got this. Oh, my God. Dude. By the way, buy my Johnny Manziel guy. Buy him a drink. I want a dollar zombie for him.
Old Joe
All
from
right, what's
Slippery
your
Rock.
name? You're a very brave soul. What's your name?
Tyrese.
Tyrese. All right, where are you from, Tyrese? Why are you here in a Cowboys outfit?
Merced, California.
Okay, and are you here for work? You visiting? What?
For the game. Me and my wife and my cousin flew in.
Shout out to them.
All right, fair
Let's
enough.
get, let's get 6 drinks for Tyrese.
So I appreciate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
For
and
Gregory.
your family get drinks, and somebody watch her, make sure he doesn't get spiked. Like he's rooting for the wrong team, but we like him. All right, what's your question, my friend?
I have Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill on my team. I know I can't start them both, but I've been flip-flopping. I need to know which one to start today.
Well, it's for your flex?
Yes, PPR league. I'm number 1, 4-0. I want to keep that going. So
I like that. I think I'm going. Boy, God, that's tough. But I think I'm going Tyreek Hill just because I just think he's the better player. As good as Achane is, I think he's the better player, and I think they will make more of an effort to get the ball in his hands, especially with Mostert back. Like I think it'll be a bit of a split.
Yeah, I think the thing is Tyrese is as bad as Tyreek has been. Last week he was like 2 yards from having 150 yards and 2 touchdowns because Snoop Huntley just missed him on 2 deep bombs. So I think you just need him to connect on one of those against the Pats, and then he's got a higher ceiling than Achane.
In the 2 games without Tua, the 2 full games without Tua, he's got nearly a 30% target share. So run with that, run with the talent. Like Matthew said, he's the better player, and they're going to try to get him the ball in the short, intermediate, and deep games. So good luck with that.
So, yeah, we're rooting for you in fantasy because we're not rooting for you tonight, but appreciate you coming by.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tyrese.
All right, good luck. Drinks for him and his family. Drinks.
He need the most.
in the house. All right. All right, come here. All right, what's your name, my friend?
Brandon.
All right, Brandon. All right, you guys are
I gotta say, it's nice to meet you. Let me shake your hand. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
4 years I've been watching you. It's great to meet you. It seriously is.
I appreciate that. Get him a drink. There
we go.
All right. What is your question, my friend?
Okay, so I have DeAndre Swift and I have Trey Sermon that I just picked up. I don't know who I should start. I know Swift is projected higher.
But he's DeAndre Swift. I get it.
But he's DeAndre Swift. Right. He is DeAndre Swift. And last year, he didn't do great. But I had him a couple years ago when he was on the Lions. Best running back in the league till he got injured. Everything. So I know his history. I know he's a great player. I just need to know if I should start Sermon or if I should start Swift and what your opinion on that is.
Well, it's not a great choice, as you're well aware.
It's not a great choice. It's a terrible choice.
Yeah.
It's a terrible choice, but it's what I'm left with. It's what I got to deal with. So.
Same sort of thing here. I think I don't know where you guys are, but I think I'm going with Swift. I think he's the better player. As you know, I mean, like again, we've right.
Swift, yeah.
I mean, again, in situations like this, I just sort of like neither of them have great matchups, but you feel better about DeAndre Swift's talent than you do about Trey Sermon, who's sort of bounced around the NFL and is, he's going to be on a Joe. All of my jokes aside at Jay.
Starting job yet? I get it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And we just don't know how that game script is going to play out. Like I said, Jacksonville. I think they attack. I think they try to attack the secondary. I think it's a big Josh Downs game. I think it's a big Michael Pittman game. And I just feel like Swift is. They want to take some pressure off Caleb, so I do think they run Swift more. And I just think he's the better running back. You know what I mean? Like, I get that Swift has been up and down, but to your point, we've seen him have success at a high level in the NFL in multiple years, and we've never seen that from Trey Sermon.
Yeah, he's so fair. Also, Trey Sermon, we don't know 100% sure that he's definitely going to be the guy either, and they could be down. Colts could be losing and then throwing on to Tyler Goodson instead, so Swift is a lot safer.
Yeah, there we go.
I got one more quick question for you. What do you got? Wicks or Brian Thomas Jr.? Obviously, I heard you're high on Wicks.
I am.
I'm high on Wicks, too. I think I should just go with Wicks and let it go.
No, I will. For whatever it's worth, I'm very high on Wicks, but I'm also high on Brian Thomas. I actually have this exact decision in the league, and I'm starting Thomas for whatever it's worth. I have Thomas at 20. I have Thomas at 20 this week. I have Wicks at 24. So it's right there. It's just going to sort of depend on.
Even with the quarterback play, even with Love throwing him the ball, compared, even with the quarterback play, you think, Lawrence.
I think they're right. Yeah, I think they're both great. Josh Jacobs hasn't scored a touchdown in 4 straight games. I feel like he's due. I think you're also going to see some. Jaden Reed's going to have a big game here as well. Again, I actually don't think you can screw that one up because I really like both of them. But the Colts have been absolutely burned by perimeter wide receivers. I think Brian Thomas is the truth. He's had a really great year, and as Jay's pointed out a number of times.
He looks amazing, right?
Yes, he does. So I think you have a good problem. Like I said, I don't think you can screw it up because I think both guys have good games. But give me out Thomas versus Wicks. I say Thomas. Okay. Thank you, my friend. Go drink on me. Give him a round of applause, everyone.
Here.
There we go. All right.
Do you have any fancy questions or anything, or want to join my league? Call me.
There you go. All right, thanks.
Oh, you got a league invitation.
I did.
Like you don't have enough.
And a plug. A man after my own heart. Man after my own
How
plug.
many leagues are you already in?
I'm in 25. I'm in 25 leagues, so I'm going to pass on the invitation, but I appreciate it.
How about the question you guys got last night at dinner in Pittsburgh?
This was great.
This is absolutely true. Our waiter comes over and says, somebody recognized you on the way in. They asked me this question. They want to buy you a drink, so they bought me a drink. And here's the question. CMC and Jamar Chase for Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison. They wanted me to circle it. The guys that wrote this, I got a lot of people that asked me on social media because I posted this, and they said, well, and it's really funny because all my mentions were, it's got to be the Chase side, right? And then other people were like, it's got to be the Henry side. It was really kind of 50-50. We talked it through, and we ultimately ended up going with the CMC Jamar Chase side because we talked to him about the rest of his team. He's in good shape, and he's somebody who very much is like, if I'm not winning, I don't care. He wants to swing for the fences, and that's the higher risk but higher upside side of that trade.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing there, too, is that Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, you could say that's close to a wash.
Sure.
But then the upside is CMC versus the best guy. The other guys is like Zay Flowers. Like CMC could win people leagues. He also may not play again this year.
Correct.
So hugely high variance.
Yeah. But he was just like, I want to swing for the fences. Yeah. I'm like, if you want to swing for the fences, the Chase and CMC side is the way to go.
Clearly the move.
Yeah. That's where we wound up.
Deep league waiver ad time now, and we're going to dig in through. These are players available in over 50% of leagues. Let's kick it off with running backs and a guy who's going to get a pretty high volume of touches this week, Alexander Mattison for the Raiders. Expectations there.
Yeah, Zamir White is out. Madison's going to be the guy, and Antonio Pierce has sort of talked about that. Madison's already been getting a bunch of goal line work. We already talked about Trey Sermon quite a bit with Jonathan Taylor out. We expect him to get the majority of work. No Joe Mixon for the Texans, so Cam Akers once again gets another start. Antonio Gibson, sounds like there's kind of a changing of the guard. Ramondre Stevenson's had a real bad fumble problem so far this season. It's been unbelievable. So they're looking for a spark in that backfield. So Antonio Gibson should get the majority of the work for the Patriots. It's a low-scoring game, and he's Antonio Gibson. But, again, this is you're in a deep waiver league. You're desperate. He's out there, and very quietly, Justice Hill continues to get work week in, week out. Henry's the hammer, and he's the guy that's going to get the goal line work. But Hill is a legitimate part of that Ravens passing attack.
Very viable in PPR leagues.
Yes.
Really
I got a league where I'm starting Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, and I feel pretty decent about that, to be honest.
Sure.
How about wide receivers now? And Wan'Dale Robinson, you figure he's going to get a big workload this week. I feel like we were maybe just 1 week early on Jordan Whittington, because last week we saw what he's capable of, and now do you think he's going to keep it rolling against the Packers?
I completely agree. He got the second highest target share of any wide receiver in the Rams this season, only less than Cooper Kupp in that week one, that crazy game against the Lions. So Whittington, who was a star in the preseason, we talked about a lot, like him quite a bit in a matchup where they should happen to be throw against the Packers. Xavier Legette, we talked about him earlier in the show, 25% target share in week 4, 88% route participation. No Malik Neighbors, obviously, so it should once again be the Wan'Dale Robinson show. And how about Josh Downs, as the Jaguars have allowed the 7th most yards to the slot, seem to have a real connection with Joe Flacco. Comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco, last week. Flacco once again gets the start, well on his way to another comeback player of the year award.
Real Cinderella story. Joe Flacco just warms your heart to think of what he's been able to do the last couple seasons.
Doesn't warm everyone at the table's heart, but me and you, Lawrence,
I thought Joe Flacco would win comeback player of the year last year.
He's an easy guy to root for, right, Lawrence?
Yeah, of course.
If you're a red-blooded American who loves football.
Well, I'm from Australia and I hate him.
Speaking of Joe Flacco, that's what they call a transition in the business.
Sir.
Should we let Jake take this one? If this is quarterback.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about Joe Flacco. Not wacko for Flacco at all. I think with Flacco, look, he just helps the passing game a lot more. He doesn't have the ceiling of Anthony Richardson. Obviously, has none of the rushing whatsoever. But he's going to be helpful for Michael Pittman, for Josh Downs. And I think just we saw, like last year, he can drop back and still fling it. And if he's in that situation, they're dogs, 3-point dogs against the Jags. So Joe Flacco, deeper league, streaming option, he's viable, much to my chagrin.
I totally agree. If you're looking for a tight end and you're desperate, 3 straight games with at least a 15% target share for Tucker Kraft. He has absolutely taken that job over from Luke Musgrave. It's really just him. And again, no Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson, so it should be a more narrow target tree for Tucker Kraft and the Packers against the Rams.
All right, we got to stay hot with these desperation plays. I think, Jay, you and I have had guys score touchdowns 3 consecutive weeks. Matthew, let's have you bat lead off.
Yeah, well, I've talked about him a couple of times already, but, Tyrone Tracy there, he's going to get the work. I have him as basically a top 20 play today against the Seahawks, a converted wide receiver from college. Without Malik Neighbors, they're going to have to throw, and Daniel Jones doesn't like to throw deep, so it's going to be underneath stuff to Wan'Dale Robinson and Tyrone Tracy out of the backfield in a game in which the Giants are significant underdogs.
Yep, Andre Yoshivash for me. I think that with this Bengals passing game, I expect they're going to need to throw against the Ravens. The total is hovering around 50. Jamar Chase just weirdly hasn't been getting that many targets, so I think that this offense might be a bit more egalitarian than years past.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Curtis Samuel. Josh Allen will be without his most trusted wide receiver this week in Khalil Shakir. So once he got hurt, Curtis Samuel ended up playing a season high 37% of the snaps, and he's the most similar type of player to Shakir on that Bills receiving group. Then you look at the game total of 47-2. If the Bills are to be successful today in the passing game, you would think that Curtis Samuel has to have a little bit to do with that.
3 weeks ago, I had on Wan'Dale Robinson, had a touchdown that game. No Malik Neighbors. I think it's going to be a throwback. Darius Slayton last week, 3 catches for 56 yards. I think he's going to be the de facto Giants' number 2 receiver this week, so not unrealistic to think he could be in the 50 to 70 yards receiving, potentially get a touchdown.
Again, they're on the road as a touchdown underdog, and by the way, the Seahawks, we're not convinced the Seahawks have a great defense, by the way. They sort of got exposed by the Lions last week. Just to my point about Tyrone Tracy, last 3 weeks, Seahawks have allowed the 6th most fantasy points opposing running backs as well. So, yes, Darius Slayton should get a decent amount of work with Malik Neighbors out in in comeback mode.
How about this name, Matthew? Let's let you take this one. It does involve your ride or
At
die.
Murray up offense. I like that. Okay, fair enough. Can't decide who to play my flex. Zach Charbonnet, Justice Hill, Tyrone Tracy, or Curtis Samuel. I'm actually going Tyrone Tracy here. I feel better about his workload of all those guys. I hear you on Curtis Samuel, Lawrence, but they've obviously got a lot of weapons there. Charbonnet shouldn't get a ton of work, obviously, with Ken Walker back healthy. Hill is, more. I think I'm going to say Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, you got to go. For me, the only two I would consider out of these is Tracy and Justice Hill. And because of the role that Tyrone Tracy is expected to play today, you got to go with him. For Justice Hill, you're just going to have to hope for those 5 or 6 catches. You got to kind of depend on the game script. But Tyrone Tracy should be that guy for the Giants today.
No question.
I'm with you. I'm 100% on that. Let's transition now to Prop a Shot.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. We don't get to show off our cannon right arms this week. Instead, we're going to have a sip of
Veterans
our
Rest Day for the arms.
Well, we can have a sip of our Dollar Zombies.
You're damn right we can.
Which are delicious when you're eating good at Applebee's.
As everyone has a sip of
Yeah.
their Dollar Zombie
exactly.
as it gets quiet.
We're eating good in the neighborhood.
That's good television. Let's start with Jay here. James Cook rushing yards over under 58.5.
Going under on James Cook. I think this is a game that's going to be on Josh Allen's arm more so than on the ground with James Cook. Texans have struggled in situations against the pass. Think about what Sam Darnold did to them. Anthony Richardson with the deep balls in week 1. So I think this is Josh Allen's game. Cook goes under.
Lawrence, focusing on the Jags, Brian Thomas Jr. has had a good rookie season so far. His receiving number at 55.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go over this. The Colts have allowed the opposing's top wide out to get this number in every game. One game, they let 2 guys get it. Look, Brian Thomas has got 9 targets in each of his last 2 games, and he's averaging 16 yards per reception. I'm going over on this one.
We saw a monster Kyren game against the 49ers when they had that massive comeback to upset San Francisco a couple weeks ago for the Rams. His rushing and receiving prop at 104.5, Matthew.
Yeah, I'm going to go over here. And look, it's close, right? I mean, so he had 104 yards last week. He had 116 yards in week 3. He only went over this number once so far this year, but like I said, last week 104, so just missed. Packers have allowed 130 total yards to a running back in 3 out of 4 games this year. Packers only a 3-point favorite. This game should be fairly close, so Williams is not going to get game scripted out of it as well. They're banged up at the wide receiver position, so I think they once again lean on Kyren Williams. So give me the over on 104.5 total yards from scrimmage for Kyren Williams.
This next question, I almost feel uncomfortable asking Jay in front of Lawrence. It's a Lamar Jackson prop here. It's pass and rushing yards, 273.5.
Well, in honor of my good friend Lawrence Jackson, I'll take the over.
Yeah.
I think that just with the total hovering around 50, the Bengals have one of the worst defenses in football, so I think Lamar gashes them, whether it's through the air or on the ground.
We had heard hype preseason about how Chuba Hubbard would be the guy to try and get, who could maybe have a breakout first 5 or 6 weeks before Jonathan Brooks became a part of the Panthers offense. He's looked really good his last couple weeks, but they're on the road against a good Bears defense. Rushing attempts prop at 15.5, Lawrence.
This one almost seemed like a trap because he's getting almost 20 carries per game in the last 2 games. But if it is a trap, call me a mouse. He played a season-high 74% of the running back snaps last week. And outside of the Joe Mixon injury game, the team has carried the ball 19 times against the Bears this season. So give me the over on that.
I like it, Mouse. I like it.
Mouse Jackson.
Mouse Jackson. Mouse Jackson's a pretty good name.
Money
actually.
Mouse Jackson.
Like Mouse Jackson seemed like you go for 175 receiving yards every game.
Yeah. Mouse Jackson sounds like you're you're tanked out, like you're a small but very fast wide receiver. Like once again Stroud hitting Mouse Jackson down the side for a 65-yard bomb.
And that's how you get that 175.
Yeah, I'm saying.
I feel like he's more like a support character in a bad movie like Money Train or something like that.
Like
Mouse Jackson. Money
How
Train's not
dare
a good
you
film.
denigrate Woody
It's
Harrelson
not a
and
good film.
Wesley Snipes' finest piece of work together. Ride or die time. Kyler Murray, Matthew, passing attempts, 32.5.
I'm going under this number. Listen, I'm sticking by my ride or die, but I think he gets you some fantasy points with his legs. The Niners have never given up this number to a quarterback. All 4 games this year, every quarterback against San Francisco has gone under 32.5 passing attempts. Again, I think he uses both his legs and his arms, so give me the under on Kyler Murray, 32.5 passing attempts tonight. Today, I should say.
I know everyone watching on Peacock and YouTube is wondering, when is Jay Croucher going to talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba? The moment of the show has finally arrived for JSN. Longest reception, over under 18.5 yards.
I love JSN like he's my 4th child. I'm going over, shockingly. He came into the week the 12th most targeted player in football. Last week he played more snaps than DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. Giant secondary doesn't scare you at all.
And
JSN
yet
goes
still
over.
can get 0.14 points more. Tyler, I'm still bitter. Still bitter about that.
We love you, JSN.
Yeah.
One of the all-time bad beats in the League of Assholes.
It really is.
Great victories.
Bad beat. I think much more of a bad beat. Again, he had it won, but if Tyler Lockett doesn't get that ticky-tack holding call.
That's why I drafted him. No. Tyler Lockett understands
on the other side of the field. Like, it didn't even matter
Sometimes
from the play.
Sometimes you got to play defense as a fantasy football player.
It's outrageous.
This number seems almost too good to be true. Jaden Daniels passing yards, just 200.5 yards.
It do sound crazy because he's went way over this in 3 straight games. Now, Cleveland's only allowed 1 quarterback to do that this season. They got the 10th best pass defense, but they allowed a 13th most rushing yards per game. So I think today, Jaden Daniels, he'll throw for 199. He's still going to have 3 touchdowns. He'll get it done on the ground, but I'm going to go with the under today for my ride or die, Jaden Daniels.
Since we're in such a giving mood here, if you're a Dolphins fan, we're going to buy you 3 drinks because you're going to need them to watch that offense with what we've seen the last couple weeks. So with Tyreek Hill, his receptions number.
I like that you're offering up $3. that's all these drinks cost.
George Moneybags Savaricas, as I've known. For Tyreek Hill, receptions, it's just at 4.5, Matthew.
Yeah, and I'm going under. He's been under this number in 3 straight games. You know, I mean, it just he's going to see a decent amount of Christian Gonzalez today. Like, it's crazy that Tyreek Hill's number is 4.5, and it's crazier that I'm taking the under. But I feel like that's the better bet.
Yep.
Honestly, given how little we've seen from this offense.
Christian Gonzalez quietly shut him down last year as well. It's the breakout game for Gonzalez.
All right, last 3 questions. We're doing all Cowboys, Steelers props. We want you engaged, and we want audience reaction here. So for the first one,
let's go.
Jay, your sweet prince, Najee, rushing yards, over under 68.5 tonight against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I do love Najee Harris like the son I've never had.
Say it loud and proud, Jay.
Yeah. I have 3 daughters, but Najee Harris is my son. Don't know how old he is and how the math works out there, but over 68.5 yards. He gashes the Cowboys defense.
There we go. Lawrence, Justin Fields, passing and rushing, over under 239.5.
Again, we talked about this Dallas defense. No Micah Parsons, no DeMarcus Lawrence. Justin Fields, definitely Steelers quarterback 1. We'll go over this number, baby. Let's get it.
Get that terrible towel flying. How about this next one? The guy Matthew likes to call 8, CeeDee Lamb.
My buddy 8s, yeah.
Over under receiving yardage, 76.5.
I dare you to say over. Say over. I dare you.
You going to stand on business?
He's going over. I'm sorry. In a losing effort. He's going over in a losing effort. Look, Pittsburgh has allowed, the Steelers have allowed at least 77 receiving yards to 3 different wide receivers this season, including twice last week against the Colts. He's been over this number in 2 or 4 games this season. He had 98 yards last week. And let's be clear, the Steelers' defense is so good, and they're going to be so awesome on offense. They're going to be a negative game script. They're going to have to be throwing, and when they're throwing, they throw to CeeDee Lamb. So in a losing effort, CeeDee Lamb goes over. 76.5 yards.
That's how you do it.
And I love
That's how you do it.
I love the Steelers fan chirp for you saying over. They said, but he fumbles.
There you go. Exactly.
You got to make sure.
He has a 78-yard reception and then fumbles like on the 10.
Yeah.
And the Steelers go back
There
the
you
other
go.
way.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah.
So just remember, for you at home. DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app. Use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The crown is yours.
You love to see it on Fantasy Football Pregame. Set to make his Dolphins debut.
Mouse Jackson, what's going on in his head? What is that? What is that?
Man,
You're a fashion expert.
All right, so first off, this is Odell Beckham, so you take off half of that right there. You just got to understand this is Odell. I think he's going with a little of the, like, Frank Lucas going to the boxing match with the fur hat thing going on right now. Then after that, I don't even know what to tell you, man.
I was going to wear that hat today. Thank goodness I didn't. How embarrassed would I be if I showed up in the same thing that OBJ's wearing? Goodness.
Glad Danielle nixed that.
Yeah. Thanks goodness. All right. We'll be back soon. More Fantasy Football Pregame from Applebee's when we return.
Back and better than ever. How good is this matchup? All four of us are going to be on hand tonight to watch the Cowboys versus the Steelers, 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. It is Sunday Night Football.
Woo! Let's go!
All right. And how many touchdowns will Barry's boy Eights have tonight? That's the big question.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's find out.
We're going to
Let's
find out
at least one. I think at least one. At least one. We got a question here. Hey, what's your name, sir?
How's it going? I'm John. And I'm from Detroit. Go Lions. It's our bye week, so I could come here.
Okay. There you go. I appreciate it. Thanks for making the trek all the way out to Pittsburgh. Yeah. What's your question, John?
So I have a question for you guys that's going to be from a dynasty perspective. I think it's obvious this year's rookie class of wide receivers is great, probably better than next year's. We already know Neighbors and Marvin Harrison are the top two guys. Who's the third guy, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that people should be trading their first-round picks for right now?
I think it's a really great rookie class, and hard to say just yet, but because I think there's a lot of guys. But for me, if you asked me the question today, I think it's Brian Thomas in Jacksonville.
Yep.
He's been nothing short of fantastic.
Yeah, he's out the gate good. He established himself as the Jaguars wide receiver one early. You got guys like Keon Coleman and Xavier Worthy and them. They still trying to find their way in the league. But
and Luke McCaffrey. Don't forget Luke McCaffrey.
He gonna be good though.
He is actually gonna be good.
But Brian Thomas Jr., like Matthew said, he didn't hit the ground running. So you gotta feel really good about him.
Yeah, I think the thing with BTJ too, John, is that Trevor Lawrence missed him wide open on a deep touchdown last week, and then week one he got mugged in the end zone by Ramsey on a DPI, so he should have an extra 2 bomb touchdowns. Then his stats look like Malik Neighbors type of territory.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and there's other guys. Like, we don't know what Ricky Pearsall's going to be yet, right? And he had high hopes, and so we get into that Shanahan system. But I think if you're asking me today, I think it's Brian Thomas. I think he's special, and he's somebody that we've talked about a lot, obviously, after Neighbors and Harrison.
Yeah. And even though I hate the Bears, Odunze still has a chance, so gotta keep going.
I was going to say, we can't go around the horn here and not mention Rome.
Oh, Odunze is fantastic, but thanks for coming out. One pride.
Absolutely, one pride. This is the year. We'll see you in the NFC Championship game, huh?
We'll see you there. Commanders Lions. Oh, hey, here we go. What's going on? Hey, guys. How you doing? Hey, what's your name?
Lucas.
Hi, Lucas. Well, look at the camera right there for me, Lucas. Lucas, is this your dad?
Yep.
Lucas, is this your dad? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Hi, Dad. What's your name?
Tim. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Tim. All right. So you're here with your son, Lucas. What can we do for you?
Yeah. First off, welcome to Pittsburgh. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So I'm in a franchise league. I can keep 2 guys year over year. So I have CMC and Bijan. Feeling really good about coming into the season. Really good draft. Obviously, with the CMC news, I'm struggling a little bit with my RB2. So my options right now until CMC comes back is Javonte Williams, Cam Akers. I know it's kind of week to week with Joe Mixon out, and also Zach Charbonnet. Any advice for the next couple weeks?
I think generally speaking, I think you are going to just sort of play the matchup there, but the positives are that at least Javonte Williams has the gig.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Cam Akers has gotten the opportunity, but he hasn't been that great. Charbonnet's been good when he's gotten the chance, but it's clearly Ken Walker's backfield. But Williams is the best of a bad lot there in Denver. I don't know how you guys feel, but
not same thing because Cam Akers, he could be gone next week. He could have been gone. Then like you said, Zach Charbonnet, he'll have good weeks, but that's pretty much when Kenneth Walker is out. It's not you don't love it with Javonte Williams, but he's going to get the 15 touches per game for right now at least.
Yeah, he'll get 15 to 20 touches. Tyler Bidet was threatening last week, got injured early in that game. Jaleel McLaughlin didn't have a lot of touches. So I think if you're just looking at volume as the safer play, 15 to 20 touches is realistic this week against the Raiders and next week.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd hang on to Cam Akers too because Joe Mixon, he came back to practice and then he stopped practicing, which is a bad sign. So it maybe he re-aggravated something. So Cam Akers might have another couple weeks still to go.
But so I think for your running back 2 spot until McCaffrey comes back, basically, I think you're just playing the matchups week to week. I would say this week, actually, Javonte Williams against the Raiders, in a game.
Yeah.
Raiders are, they're a bottom 10 run defense. And to George's point, Williams got a lot of work last week. So yeah, that's what I do. Lucas, do you play fantasy football?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Who's on your team?
Stephon Diggs.
There you go.
Revenge game.
I like it. He should have a big game. What's your team name?
Amazing.
The amazing team. All right, Lucas. Go Steelers. Hey, thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Lucas.
Buy Lucas a cookie. All right. Hey, what's up? What's your name?
Travis.
What's up, Travis? Nice to meet you.
Oh,
you're wearing a Ravens hat. You're wearing a Ravens hat in Pittsburgh country.
10 minutes down the road. 10 minutes down the road. Ravens fan. Go Ravens.
Hey, look, I ain't mad at you for it. Lamar is that dude. I ain't mad at you.
Yeah, Raven up. Has that started catching on yet among the fan base? Raven up?
Nah, he like nah.
Not yet. It's
That's a
getting
hard
there.
no.
All right. What can we do for you, Tyler? Travis.
Garrett Wilson, is he a hold? With the Adams rumors swirling around a little bit, I have him in the league, actually a few leagues. Is he a hold, or can I trade him after this game?
Well, you probably have to wait until the game's over. But until the week's over. Look, I'm of the belief that anyone is tradable at the right price. Having said that, I think he's super talented, and I'm not going to bail on him just because Davante Adams is coming to town. There's an argument to be made that it may even open things up for him a little bit more, because that's what's happening. That's why freaking Alan Zard has multiple touchdowns. It's because he's just getting bracketed and double teamed. I don't know how you guys feel, but I wouldn't be actively shopping Garrett Wilson. I'd be happy to trade him if I got a right offer, but I wouldn't be actively shopping.
Well, plus his value ain't gonna be as high as it could be
you
right
get like
now.
pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, Travis, is I think Davante Adams might help Garrett Wilson, honestly, because then he'll get less coverage. He will have games where he's got the number two corner on him. So I think Garrett Wilson, you just got to ride it out.
I mean, 2 QB league. I need help at a second quarterback. I have Pickens, Harrison, and Cup coming back, hopefully. So, I mean, I have a little bit at receiver if Cup does come back. So that's why I'm looking to maybe unload him there, pair someone with Stroud.
Well, what I would do is I would try to wait until you get a big game from Wilson. He's having a nice game so far today, but I would wait till you get a big game, and to your point about trading low, and maybe wait until Cooper Kupp is targeting Week 7 to come back. So I think you don't have the depth right now to trade just yet, so I might wait until Kupp comes back. See if you can sort of maintain with your second quarterback spot for a couple more weeks. All right. Thanks, Travis. Good luck to you. There you go. It's a brave man. He's wearing a Ravens hat. And they were okay. Hey, how are we going? One more question. We got one more question. Tell me your name, sir.
Donnie Hall.
Donnie Hall. What's going on, Donnie Hall?
Not too much, man. How are you? Been with you for years. 06010 boy right here.
Let's go. Let's go. An OG, Donnie. Thanks so much for coming out. What can I do for you?
Similar to what my two-time champion in our league right before me, back-to-back. Got to give him some love. Go ahead, Trav. But shout out to the league. But Anthony Richardson, man, 2 QB league. He's killing me. What do I do with him?
It's a great question because he's also killing Lawrence Jackson.
Yeah. Well, look,
Mouse, what are you doing with Anthony Richardson?
This is the thing. Last week he came out and he looked like he settled down a little bit. He was throwing the ball well. Then he got hurt. You don't want to get rid of him yet because he's still young. He still hasn't started 10 NFL games yet. Just hope that he settles down. It looked like he did that last week, and just hope for the best. I know you probably drafted him as your top quarterback, too. Stay strong, my brother.
Yeah, and I think to that point, just similar to the advice we just gave with Garrett Wilson, you'd be trading him as all-time lowest value right now. I think because we've seen the upside of Richardson. We know he's got top 5 fantasy quarterback potential in him. So tough as it may be, I would hang tough as long as I can.
No doubt. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, thanks for coming by. Hey, longtime fan, buy him a drink. Danielle, buy him a drink, whatever he wants on me. All right.
All right, we're going rankings time, and we're
Yep.
going to go no huddle 1 through 10, and we're going to start with a couple of guys that everyone's starting. Jordan Love had that monster game last week in his return, Matthew.
Yeah, and no team has allowed more touchdowns and the third most yards and deep passes than the LA Rams. I have Jordan Love as the top 5 play today.
Yeah, Brock Purdy comes in number 5 in your rankings, Matthew. Brock Purdy's just a start every single week. He's matchup independent, and he should have a massive game against the Cardinals.
Decision time, if you're in that 11 to 20 range and trying to figure out if one of these quarterbacks is a go, Trevor Lawrence, what type of week is he going to have against the Colts?
I think a usable one. Colts have allowed the third most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Colts, 26th in pass defense so far this season. Lawrence looked better. They didn't win last week. They're desperate, but they are getting better. The offense and Trevor Lawrence looked better last week. I believe he's got a top 12 day in him today.
Speaking of Lawrence, is this going to be a Caleb Williams bust-out game, or we got to wait another week?
I don't know, because Carolina does allow the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks per game. They've allowed 9 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. That's the 2nd most in the league. But I don't think the Bears want to really do that on offense right now. I think they want to play defense, get the run game going. Plus, Caleb Williams only has 1 top 20 game this season.
Question here from Jay Grizz on YouTube. Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, or Geno Smith rest of season?
Geno for me.
I was gonna say Geno. As much as we like Justin Fields, and I think it's close with him and Geno, there is the chance that Mike Tomlin says I want a veteran in there, and that when Russell Wilson's healthy, it's close. It's close. I think both are legit top 10 fantasy quarterbacks the rest of the way.
Yeah. There's a chance, like, Justin Fields could have a bad 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's a conversation. Geno has a stranglehold on that job.
Correct. So that, for me, I think it's Geno. It's Geno barely over Fields, and then Caleb is a distant third.
Wholeheartedly agree. Running back ranks, we're going to start at the top of the heap, 1 through 10. Matthew Jordan Mason has locked himself among the top 10 basically until we see any signs of life with CMC.
He's had at least 21 touches in every single game so far this season. 3 different running backs have already scored 20 more fantasy points against the Arizona Cardinals this season. I think Mason does that again, a top 5 play for me today.
How about James Cook on the road?
He averaged 20 fantasy points weeks 1 through 3, had a bad week against a good run defense for the Ravens. He'll bounce back this week against the Houston Texans defense, not as good.
Chuba Hubbard-Sneaky has been kind of a breakout running back fantasy star through 4 weeks, going up against a very stingy Bears defense, but you got him clocking in at 11, Matthew.
I do. Look, he's had, since Dalton has become the starter, he's averaging over 20 touches a game, over 120 yards from scrimmage, 3 straight games with a double-digit target share as well. Worth noting the Bears have allowed 18 or more fantasy points to a running back in 3 of 4 games this season. We still haven't come up with a nickname for Chuba, you know. The Chuba Booba?
Chubby Bubby?
Chubby Bubby?
Chubby Bubby.
I'm not going to be involved with the nickname
based
for
on
Chuba.
the audience.
He's a Hubbard Bubbard. He's your bub, you know.
Hubby time?
Hubby Time's not bad.
All right, we're saved by the question from Chris Monroe on YouTube. Hubby time or Amari Cooper in the flex spot?
Hubby time.
PPR.
Wow.
I actually don't think you can screw this one up, but I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard here just for the volume of touches. Again, I think both guys have a big game, but just there's always a chance that Cooper gets taken out of the game. Hubbard's touching the ball 20 times today.
Yep, hubby time for me.
Yep.
The fact that you can say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
It's
Both of y'all did. Y'all both felt real comfortable saying hubby time.
Yeah, we do.
Mouse. Three of you.
Yeah.
back to the running back.
Yeah.
ranks
It's not
we
as
go.
good. It's not a good nickname as Mouse Jackson.
Mouse Jackson's that's got
Mouse
staying
Jackson's
power.
got staying power.
That's like J Gun.
Yeah, Jay Gunn and Mouse Jackson. Yeah, we're starting to get something around here.
I don't even remember how that started. The Mouse Jackson thing.
You brought it up.
If it was a trap, you'd be a mouse.
Yeah.
It's a very strange thing to say. Now this is your nickname.
You
for the
walked
rest of your
right
life.
into that one.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Like a mouse.
So you had just done.
Drawn to the yummy cheese.
You had just done Chuba at 11 through 20. We got James Conner as well for the Cards.
Yes, Connor time. I think James Conner, who hasn't really lived up to expectations the past couple of weeks, not worried about him. He's still got the talent. He still has a stranglehold on the job. And the Niners' run defense quietly isn't amazing. They've had some injuries in the interior of the defensive line, so just stick fat with James Conner. He will be fine.
Let's drop it down. 21 through 30. A guy who 2 weeks ago was looking for an NFL team, and now he seems like he's going to be RB1 for the Chiefs, Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming back as well, so we'll see exactly how this all plays out. But 67% of the Chiefs' running back touches last week, including 2 of their 3 red zone touches. Saints allow the 3rd highest yards per carry to opposing running backs. So Kareem Hunt is a viable flex. It's always a little dicey with Chiefs running backs, of course, because they mix and match and they do weird stuff at the goal line. But I have him as a viable flex play this week with 4 teams on a bye.
Question here from Karma, 12-team PPR flex spot, Zay Flowers or Kareem Hunt, hashtag FF pregame.
Zay Flowers has just been so bad recently. I think just volume of touches. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. You know, I get the question, right? You know, and I think Zay Flowers is a more talented player, but I don't know. He's been bad. I mean,
it's about how the game goes.
I mean, right. The Bengals are 25th against the run. You figure this is a big Derrick Henry game, but their defense has been bad. Like, I think it's a bit of a shootout here. I don't know. I go back and forth, but Hunt's got the better chance at a touchdown, so I sort of go there.
Yeah, the Ravens have played in some weird games this year. Like Isaiah Likely was the guy in Week 1. Weeks 3 and 4, Derrick Henry turned into 2019 Derrick Henry again. So it's just I don't think we've seen them play really normal games. Now the counterpoint to that is maybe they just don't play normal games because Derrick Henry is that type of player. So I think I just worry a bit with Kareem Hunt and he's carrying an injury as well. But yeah, I think that's a coin flip. Go with your heart. Thanks for the help, Jay.
Yeah.
Take that one to the bank. At 21 through 30, guys getting a spot start this week. Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, look, running back 41 this season, which is decent considering he only got 36 touches and only played 28% of the snaps. Now he's going into a role where they name him the starter. And if you look at what the Titans were able to do against the Dolphins last week in the run game, you like Gibson this week. You might even like Ramondre Stevenson too, because the Titans ran both backs against them. So Antonio Gibson could easily outplay his ranking this week.
We're going to breeze through these wide receiver rankings at 1 through 10. Matthew, DK Metcalf has been going off for the Seahawks.
Yeah, and he's going to be shadowed by Deonte Banks, which is really good. He's already allowed 4 touchdowns this season, Deonte Banks has. Wide receiver one's facing the Giants this year, averaging almost 19 fantasy points per game. Jefferson, McLaurin, Cooper, Lamb all went off. DK will do the same. I'm as a top 6 play today.
Yep, Jaden Reed, number 8 in your rankings, Matthew. He's emerged as potentially just a legit wide receiver one when he gets to play with Jordan Love, has elements of Deebo Samuel in his game. He's probably not the marquee name that some of these guys above him are, but he's been every bit as effective.
At 11 through 20, we keep believing in Amari Cooper, especially when he's going to Washington to face that Commanders secondary.
Yeah, for sure. On the season, he's got a 26% target share. He's had at least 8 targets in every single game. 4 of the 5 wide receivers that have seen at least 7 targets against my Commanders have scored at least 16 fantasy points, including guys like Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison. Every wide receiver one to face Washington this year has scored at least 1 touchdown. Amari Cooper's a wide receiver one. I'm starting him as a top 20 play today.
We have the Steelers wide receiver one, who, of course, has the best first name in the league, George Pickens. And is he going to have big game against the Cowboys?
I believe so. He's got double-digit fantasy points 3 or 4 games. The time he didn't was versus Patrick Surtain, where he had a 53-yard catch nullified by penalty. He drew a 37-yard pass interference against Surtain, and he had a 6-yard touchdown called back. So he's really better than what we actually think he is in terms of fantasy.
21 through 30, and it's been a roller coaster couple weeks with that Packers wide receiving core. Christian Watson gets injured. We had been waiting to see if Dontavian Wicks would do anything. Romeo Doubs just decides to leave the team. So now Dontavian Wicks is a top 25 wide receiver in the rankings, Matthew.
Last week, in week 4, he had 4 end zone targets, right? Only one team has allowed more touchdowns to wide receivers this year than the LA Rams. So Dontavian Wicks, who had an 80% route participation last week, got a 24% target share. It should be him and Jaden Reed against the Rams in a nice matchup today for the Packers.
Christian Kirk for the Jags, as we have him in those wide receiver ranks, also top 30.
Yeah, Christian Kirk, who had a dreadful start to the season, somewhat righted the ship. It's still not the most inspiring situation, but he's come back to life enough where I think he's a very viable flex option.
For sure.
31 through 40. Could get a bump from Joe Flacco slinging it for the Colts with Josh Downs, Matthew.
Yeah, we talked about Josh Downs a couple of times throughout the show. 32% target share in week number 4. Jacksonville has allowed the 7th most yards to the slot, and I do believe that having Joe Flacco, comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco under center, helps Josh Downs, more of a pure passer, more of a guy that's going to sort of run the offense. There'll be more passing volume, less running from Flacco, obviously. So, yeah, Josh Downs, who's a talented player. Connor Rogers on our show earlier this week said, I think Josh Downs is the most talented wide receiver on the Colts.
That's not far-fetched at all.
And by the way, I agree. I agree. I like that take quite a bit.
Tight end rankings. I don't know if the crowd's going to love your take here on Jake Ferguson for the Cowboys, Matthew.
I'm as a top 5 fantasy play. Again, I think he has a big game and a loss, you animals. But 24% target share in the 2 games that Ferguson has returned from injury, right? Pittsburgh, one of 5 teams to allow multiple touchdowns to tight ends this season. So, yeah, I think Jake Ferguson has a real shot at a touchdown in a game in which I think the Steelers will be trailing and they can only move the ball through the air. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb and, of course, Jake Ferguson, who, given the state of the position, is a top 5 play for me today.
Yeah, another team I think will be trailing and needing to move the ball through the air, the Cleveland Browns. They get David Njoku back, gets a favorable matchup against the Commanders. Pass defense, I mean, it just shows you where this position is at, that David Njoku coming back from injury is immediately just tight end 6, but we forget that he was incredible down the end of the stretch, down the end of last season. Now, a lot of that was with Joe Flacco. Can he replicate that with Deshaun Watson? We'll see to that.
11 through 20, Cole Kmet for the Bears clocks in at number 11.
Yeah, and I like him today, right? His route participation has increased every single week so far. Nice matchup with the Panthers, as Carolina has allowed the 6th most fantasy points to tight ends. Cole Kmet is a top 12 play today.
That's when
Good
you know
today.
the Dollar Zombies are working.
Them
Here at
zombies.
Applebee's.
I'm on my fourth.
It's quite the
The over
combination.
is getting crushed.
Matthew's been enjoying rum, passion fruit, pineapple, cherry lime, and Jay's favorite, gummy brain garnish.
I do love a bit of gummy brain garnish on a Sunday morning.
Powering him through the show on FF Pregame.
It hits. It hits.
For the Ravens, this guy has been MIA all season. Are we just totally losing hope for Mark Andrews?
For today, probably 2 straight games with 1 target, 0 catches. That's unheard of from Mark Andrews.
Yeah, you can't start him.
Even in a down year, that's unheard of. We saw Kyle Pitts come out and have a good game out of nowhere. I don't know if the same fate will be for Mark Andrews today.
Oh, we got producer Pete chiming in.
Oh, backup producer Pete. What does he want to know?
Oh, there we go. Mark Andrews.
I'm going to say Colby Parkinson. I actually think Colby Parkinson. But you know what? I should let you guys, because backup producer Pete doesn't trust me. He knows that I'm his rival in the League of Assholes for
Trust
a
is
reason.
earned.
So you guys.
Well, I think you showed your hand. The answer is Colby Parkinson, who at least is a starting tight end for Matthew Stafford. And we don't know what Mark Andrews is right now.
He's a bench player.
He's a run
One
blocker.
target in 2 games. Like he's just not out there. Can't earn fantasy points when you're not on the field, Jay.
Yep.
I don't want to get brainy with you or talk a lot of in-depth theory, but
our guy Big Show.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which member of the panel will down the most zombies before kickoff? My money is on Jake Croucher. Hashtag FF Pregame. That would be money misplaced, Big Show, because
come on, Big
Mouse
Show.
Jackson and Matthew Berry
We've been cramming
are
these
going
guys.
toe to toe.
Hey, we light work time right now. We just get it started.
Lawrence is slapping
This is
those
part of
Dollar
my job.
Zombies like a
You
grape.
see me right here.
He's sucking them down like a grape.
Look
Yeah,
at
exactly.
Lawrence's tongue.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it blue?
Yes. It's like a little. It's reptilian.
Yeah. That's how you know you're drinking the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's if you want to have a good time,
Yep.
Blue tongue is a good step in the right direction. Oh, there he is.
Always a good time when
QB1.
Joe Flacco.
Comeback player of the year.
Who could forget? The 2-2 Colts road dogs against the winless 0-4 Jags. That game kicks at 1 o'clock Eastern time. We still have beer goggles and pickup lines coming up on FF Pregame in Pittsburgh. Back on Fantasy Football Pregame, week number 5 at Applebee's in Pittsburgh. Scary Terry and the squad. Hashtag raise hail. We have the Cleveland Browns at Matthews, Washington Commanders.
He's a man of the people. People love him. He loves the people. Oh yeah, I should. It's so funny. This is when you know I've had a lot of dollar zombies.
Kicked in on him.
When I start talking without my microphone. Sorry, in fairness, this is my first time on television. So anyway, yeah, raise hail. People love Terry. Terry loves the people. There you go. Special edition of Beer Goggles. How many dollar zombies would you need to drink before you're willing to start these players?
A scale of 1 to 5 zombies.
Yeah.
So 1, not too bad. 5, pretty suspect. So Matthew, first game, Baltimore at Cincinnati. Zach Moss, how many zombies?
2 zombies. And by the way, I'm well past that already. So I'm starting Zach Moss. 36 touches in his past 2 games. He's got almost a 12% target share on the season as well. I know everyone saw last week and said, oh, Chase Brown. You know, and Chase Brown's going to be a thing this year, but Zach Moss was still in on a bunch of those goal-to-go attempts. It's going to be kind of a 50-50 split. I have him running back 20 right now. It's basically a borderline top 20 play. 2 zombies for Zach Moss. I'm well past that. I'm going to start Zach Moss right now in all my leagues.
For Jay, we might have to switch it to how many wine spritzers for Chase Brown? What are we going with, 1 to 5?
3 zombie spritzers for Chase Brown. He had 15 carries last week. I agree Zach Moss is the guy in the backfield, but the margin isn't that significant.
I agree.
They're expected to be down in this game. They're underdogs. Chase Brown will be the 3rd down guy. I feel confident starting either of these guys.
Zay Flowers, how many zombies?
I just need 2 zombies, and that's because I think the game is going to be a lot more back and forth than it has been the last 2 weeks for the Ravens. And in those back and forth games, the first 2, Zay Flowers saw at least 10 targets in each game. Just 2 zombies.
Carolina Panthers at my Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Keenan Allen is one that might make your stomach turn a little bit to
Well,
start him.
4 zombies, you know, like I'm feeling pretty good right now, so I might be like, yeah, whatever. Keenan Allen, what do I care about only a 13% target shares last week, that he's averaging 3.4 yards per target this season with a 50% catch rate. Carolina, by the way, has allowed the 5th fewest yards to the slot. It does feel like for your Bears that Rome Odunze is currently the number 2 wide receiver in a game in which I think they want to be more balanced on offense. They want to run the ball. Cole Kmet's becoming more of a thing. DJ Moore, it's a revenge game for DJ Moore. I think they try to funnel some targets his way. So I'd want to be where I am right now, which is, you know, semi-blitzed on 4 zombies, and don't feel great about him. He's outside my top 40 for the week.
That's the beauty of doing television on Peacock and YouTube.
God bless the cock. Yeah, you heard me.
Rome Odunze.
Happy time.
Yeah. You heard me.
Rome Odunze. 4 zombies.
We're on the tube. We're also on the tube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
4 zombies for Rome Odunze. There's a lot of guys in this passing game, and there's not a lot of passing happening at the moment. He did nothing last week, Rome Odunze, so not comfortable starting him until we see a bit more, until Keenan Allen gets hurt again.
Yeah.
Xavier Legette, who you had as your pickup line last week, Lawrence.
Yeah, and it was a good game for him. I'm going to go 3 beers, though, try to keep it on the middle ground there. The game total here is only 41 points, and they're facing a tougher Chicago defense. So I need 3 zombies for that.
We're going to do a tempo drill, these last 2. Pick it up just a little bit. Cleveland at Washington, Matthew. Jerome Ford.
Yeah, 1 zombie. He got 81% of the team's running back touches over the last 2 weeks as well. Mike Commander's given up over 5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Game should be close. Ford, 1 zombie. I'm starting him, no problem.
If we were talking to Steve Smith, he would say 10 zombies because he's referred to this wide receiver as just a guy, Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, 4 zombies for me on Jeudy. He's not very good. That's the problem. Deshaun Watson, he's the number 2 option for Deshaun Watson, who also isn't very good at the moment. So even with the favorable matchup, 4 zombies.
Austin Eckler has looked good in flashes so far this season.
And he's looked good. For him, too, I have it 3 zombies there. Just because he's the backup running back there, we have seen that the Commanders' backup running back has scored in consecutive weeks. So I'll keep it at 3 pluses versus the Cleveland defense.
Could be a PPR play for a lot of people who are now starting to deal with bye weeks. Las Vegas at Denver. Jacoby Myers could be a thing now with Devontae out.
I think he's going to be, and I picked him up in a decent amount of leagues. He's not 100% rostered, and he needs to be. So I think for the rest of the season, Jacoby Myers is going to be a thing with Devontae Adams leaving the team. But today, I need 3 zombies. I'm barely as a top 30 wide receiver. Denver, really good defense. 3rd fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. He's probably going to see a decent amount of coverage from Pat Surtain as well. And the Broncos top 5 in terms of fewest yards and touchdowns allowed to opposing wide receivers. So I'd want to be, pretty carefree and hammered to start Jacoby Myers today. Barely a top 30 play.
Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce, he's made a lot of noise with business decisions, with Instagram likes. He's also said, though, he wants Alexander Mattison more involved. Easy with Zamir White out. So if you're starting him this week, how many zombies?
3 zombies for Alexander Mattison. I don't understand the NFL's infatuation with Alexander Mattison, but it just has to be accepted. He is a starting running back. The matchup is not amazing. It's a really strong Denver defense, but through volume alone, certainly you could do worse in your flex squad.
Other side of the ball, Javonte Williams for the Broncos at running back going up against that you could call porous Raiders run defense.
Yeah, and that's why I only need 1 zombie for this. The Raiders allow the 8th most fantasy points per game to running back, and when you think about it, no Taylor, no Saquon, no Gibbs. We got a lot of guys out at the running back position, so for this week, I only need 1 zombie to start Javonte Williams.
Now that the zombies have been flowing at Applebee's in Pittsburgh, fantasy football pregame week number 5. Matthew.
Yes, sir.
He's ready. Pickup lines time. This brought to you by DraftKings. Looking at the season, and Deuce is wild here. Barry's been picked up twice by Mouse Jackson and by Jay Croucher, and the bet cashing. We're even 500, 2-2 on both sides. So, Lawrence, we're going to let you go first.
All right. So
Yeah. I'm easy to pick up. I'm like 6 zombies deep at this point. I should be easy.
You easy money right now.
Your eyes are saying, come right
now. I really am. Let's go, Mouse. What do we got?
You see all the 2s on that screen. Well, let's go for 225 passing yards for Lamar Jackson at plus 135 versus the Bengals. If you believe this game, which is at close to 50 game point total, right? If you think this game will go back and forth like it did with the Chiefs, like it did with the Raiders, Lamar soars over that number. He'll have to throw more this week than he had in the past 2 weeks. So 225 passing yards is nothing for the reigning MVP at, of course, plus money.
Okay, well, let's stick with big brand name MVP type superstars. Taking Darnell Washington over 4.5 receiving yards. Darnell Washington last week played 30 snaps out there. He was being utilized. He had over 30 yards. He's gone over this number 3 times already this season. And I think just with Cordero Patterson out and Jalen Warren out, there's just not many guys left on this team. And I think that with the frailties that Pickens has shown, effectively costing them the game against the Colts, I think Darnell Washington is going to get a catch. That's all he needs. He needs 1 reception for this to hit. So Darnell Washington over 4.5 receiving yards.
I like both bets. I would make both bets. But, Jay, to your point, I know the Cowboys struggle against tight ends. And I do know that Arthur Smith likes Darnell Washington. They like both those guys. I think Freiermuth has a really nice game tonight as well. But they'll run a lot of 12 personnel. They'll run a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I can't believe I'm doing this. But, yeah, give me Darnell Washington over 4.5 receiving yards. One night in Pittsburgh, Jay. Once again, you get me on the road.
Yes.
You get me on the road, Jay, and you always bring me home. So it is what it is. I don't know what it is about the beautiful road, a hotel, bar, but you always get me home. So
that Aussie accent?
It might be it. I'm going home with Jay. That's the pickup lines. But I will. But again, Lawrence, keep your phone on because I might roll through later on.
I understand what it's like for you and Jay in Buffalo and now Pittsburgh and probably in Philly too. So I understand.
Yeah. Good. I appreciate you understanding. But I think they're both good bets. I do think that game is the Bengals-Ravens game is a shootout. I just get nervous that is there a pick 6? Is there a defensive touchdown? Does Derrick Henry run for 70-yard touchdown again? But I do think 225 is not a tough number for him to get to.
Scott Monroe got a question here. Hashtag FF pregame. Looks like the start to one night in Pittsburgh. So more of a statement.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to be at the
sequel, even better.
The 4 of us, along with producer Damien and our suit Danielle, we're all going to be at the game tonight as well. And so I'm going to be, flowing drinks, and we'll be there one night in Pittsburgh, me and Jay. Absolutely.
We'll have the terrible towels ready.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Can't wait. It's going to be a great game.
That line has shifted now. It's been bouncing between -3, -2.5. Steelers might be attractive at 2.5 there.
Yeah, for sure.
Jaguars, I love this, is turning back the clock all the way back to 1995 for their throwbacks.
Is that their offense is being turned back or just the uniforms?
Just the unis.
Both.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get that first win on the season. As we always do on FF Pregame, we are saving the best for last. You're going to want our touchdown parlay, which you can join us on DraftKings. See if you want to trail what we have next. Final drive on FF Pregame, week number 5, on-site Applebee's in Pittsburgh, getting ready for the Sunday Night Football matchup, Cowboys at Steelers. But Matthew has all his attention on this early game. Cleveland at Washington, faith in 5. Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, let's go. Hail victory.
Let's go.
Bring hail.
Bring hail.
Bring hail.
I don't know.
That's atrocious.
I'm
We'll
10
workshop that
zombies
one.
in. I'm 10 zombies in. Jay, where do we go? Who do we got here?
All right, let's go question.
My name is Brennan.
Okay, Brendan, what can I do for you?
Yes, I had a question. First of all, I love your show. Watch you guys every day.
Thank you. Thank you. Here, look at the camera. All right, Brendan, what do you got for me?
Yeah, so my question is, I have C.J. Stroud and Baker Mayfield in a league, at a 10-team league. Baker's been playing absolutely amazing lately. I'm a little bit bad at wide receiver depth. My question is, should I trade C.J. Stroud, and what do you think I could get for him?
Yes, I would. Honestly, guys, I don't know how you feel. I would actually trade whichever quarterback gets you the better wide receiver back, because people view different quarterbacks differently. I would be fine rolling with either Stroud or Baker for the rest of the season. I think they'd both be basically top 10 guys. And so for me, I wouldn't be precious about which quarterback I traded, but clearly if you're weak at wide receiver, it's one quarterback league, 10-team league, you don't need both guys. So, and I think you could 10-team one quarterback league, it's quarterbacks don't have that much trade value, but I think a top 20-ish wide receiver is fair value.
Yeah, if you could get someone like Jaden Reed, like someone maybe people haven't caught up that Jaden Reed is actually a lot better than a lot of people realize, someone like that I would trade for either of those quarterbacks or try and get him.
Mouse, your thoughts?
Same. I would go more along the sides of just get whichever guy. And it's not going to be a lot, like you said, a Jaden Reed type of guy, even a top 25-ish receiver, try to go for that. But I think you could still probably get more for C.J. Stroud just because of the name. That's my guess right now.
Could you get Terry McLaurin? Could you get T. Higgins? Could you get one of those types?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I would happily take one of them.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
One of the
But we agree, trade one of those quarterbacks for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
You bet. Thanks for coming by.
Palomalu
Thanks for the
jerseys.
question. Yeah,
Another
all right, what do we
question
got?
here.
There we go. Appreciate that. Hey, man, thanks for coming by. What's your name?
Colin.
Hey, Colin, welcome to the show. All right, what can we do for you?
So I'm in a full PPR league, 1 and 3, so I could use all the help that I can get. I need a flex spot, Tutu Atwell,
Juwan Jennings and Tyrone Tracy, who I wasn't really thinking about, but you've been talking him up a lot. So
I actually think it's Tyrone Tracy. Tutu Atwell's kind of interesting. He's had at least 80 yards each of the last 2 weeks, but I like Tyrone Tracy just in terms of the volume of work that he should get here in a game script that will be positive towards him. And again, Seahawks last 3 weeks have given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts?
I was about to say Tutu Atwell until he said Tyrone Tracy, and because of that, because of the touches he's about to get, that's where I would have to go with it.
Yep, Tyrone Tracy for me as well. He's just a starting running back against the Seahawks run defense that kind of got destroyed against the Lions.
All right, cool.
Good luck to you, man. Let's get to 2 and 3. Let's go. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming by.
One more Steelers fan joining us.
One more Steelers fan. All right. I like that sweater, man. That is.
Swag today. Had to break out the nostalgic swag.
I get it 1,000%. Listen, I appreciate the nostalgic. I'm old too. All right. What's your name? What's your name, my friend?
Jeff Milliner, affectionately known on Twitter, Geek Mill.
Okay, Geek Mill. What can Geek Mill? What can we do for you?
I have a tight end question. In my home league, I have Trey McBride, Zach Ertz, and Tucker Kraft. Who do I roll out this week? I'm worried about the injuries for Trey McBride a little bit. Will he get knocked out during this game?
It's always a risk, but to me, I think it's McBride. I don't think it's particularly close.
The good thing, because he's questionable, right? If he doesn't,
he's going to play. He's expected to play.
Right. Yeah. And so on a slight chance that he doesn't, then you have the Steelers tight ends, Pat Freiermuth to go.
Well, he said he's got Tucker Kraft, right? You got Tucker Kraft. So Tucker
I thought
Kraft
he don't have Pat
No.
Freiermuth.
He's got Tucker Kraft, but Tucker Kraft's a late game as well. So you can pivot to there.
I would feel good about Trey McBride going in there.
Trey McBride.
Most upside.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Appreciate
Geek
it,
Mill,
man.
we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I want Geek Mill gets a drink. Buy
We got
Geek
one more.
Mill
This
a
might
drink.
be the
There we
best
go.
Steelers-
Hey, man, how are you?
Steelers shirt
What's your
today.
name?
Tyler.
All right, hey Tyler, what's going on? Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us. So, sort of an open-ended question. As a Davante Adams owner, what do I want as a best-case scenario? I would assume Kansas City. I don't think they're going to trade in the division. So is it Ravens? Is it Bills? Is it Steelers? Where does he sort of maximize his value?
I don't think it really matters because anywhere will be better than, where he's at with the Raiders. It sounds like it's going to be the Jets. It feels like I've heard the Steelers are actually going to make a big play. I've heard the Steelers are going to make a big play from Steelers fans. Do you guys want Davante Adams? Let me hear it. So Pittsburgh Nation is hoping 17 comes by. I think either way, I don't think you make an investment to get a guy like Adams if you're not going to use him a lot. But obviously if he goes to the Jets where there's familiarity with Rodgers, that would be exciting as well. But I think what you're hoping for is just a trade.
Yeah.
Hang tough. How are you doing in your league so far this year?
Doing okay. I'm 1-3, but I had Drake London on Thursday night, so that's a great start. So, not bad.
All right. There we go. We'll take it. Hey, thanks for coming by. Good luck to you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Adams has been a disappointment. There you go. Thanks for coming by as well. George, get us back on track. I'm 10 zombies in.
We had Money Manziel earlier on the show. It's about time, with money on the mind, we cash one of these FF pregame anytime touchdown parlays, which you can tail us on DraftKings. So, Jay, kick us off.
Taking Najee Harris to score
Second
a touchdown.
straight win.
Minus 125. Let's go, Najee. He gets in the end zone.
Yeah, for me, DeAndre Swift. The Carolina Panthers have allowed the second most rushing touchdowns to running backs with 6. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift to score 2 weeks in a row.
I'm going with Josh Jacobs. He has not scored a touchdown yet this year. He is overdue, so I'm looking for positive regression here. The Rams don't have a great defense. They've given up a decent amount of rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs as well. So I'm playing the averages here that Josh Jacobs is too good in a game in which they should be winning against a bad defense. Jacobs gets in the end zone today because he hasn't gotten there yet, and I think Matt LaFleur wants to get him in.
I'm tracking with Matthew. I think the game total in that Rams-Packers game is going to be 50+. The 2 games in which Jordan Love has started with Jaden Reed, he's gone over 130 yards both times. I think he's going to be a big part of the offense. Also score, if you tail us, 13-1, plus 1301 right there for that anytime TD parlay. Of course, DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Let's bring it on home now. Tomorrow's trivia.
Yes, tomorrow's trivia today.
How about the top of the board here and how close we are with the standings? As this is officially Last call, and I got to verbally say the records. Jay, 32-23-1. One game back.
Yeah.
Matthew Berry, 31-24-1.
I'm just, you know what I'm like, you know how like a cat sort of plays with a ball of yarn and just kind of messes around? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just kind of messing around until I get serious here, and I will in a couple of weeks.
And Mouse Jackson hiding in the shadows.
Yeah, you know how
record.
you're a big brother and you just kind of let your little brothers win, and then when he start getting a little confident, you just come and drop the hammer.
Exactly.
That's kind of what I'm doing right now.
A lot of chit-chat from the guys losing in bar trivia so far.
Okay.
Please refer to me as defending champion at bar trivia. That's all I ask.
More total yards.
Let's go in order. Let's figure it out. Like,
yeah, okay.
We'll go start with me.
Go reverse order.
Right, exactly. Start with me, and then the next question will start with you. You can be in the middle every time.
Okay.
There we go.
It's your show. We'll start with you. Chuba Hubbard or DeAndre Swift more total yards?
Chuba Booba. Still working it out.
Puppy time.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift.
One contrarian. I
Swift
like
time.
it. I have Swift. Breakout game last week. I think he'll keep it going. More fantasy points. Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow?
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar.
Did any Dolphins player, we're talking anyone, score 15-plus fantasy points, Lawrence?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
Tyreek Hill do it.
Yeah, their defense probably will.
Okay.
That counts.
I was going to say their kicker, maybe. More receiving yards, Terry McLaurin or Amari Cooper?
I'm going to say Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper.
Cooper.
More passing yards, Trevor Lawrence or Flacco for Flacco?
Joe Flacco.
I'm going Trevor Lawrence.
I'm going to go Joe Flacco.
More fantasy points, James Cook or Stephon Diggs?
James Cook.
James Cook.
I agree, James Cook.
Bounce back.
More rushing yards, Matthew, Alexander Madison or Javonte Williams?
Alexander Madison.
Javonte Williams.
Give me Javonte.
More receiving yards, Jay, Brandon Ayuk, MHJ.
MHJ.
Give me Brandon Ayuk.
I agree, Brandon Ayuk.
Wow, okay. The week 49ers fans and Brandon Ayuk owners have been waiting for. More total yards, Josh Jacobs or Kyron Williams, Lawrence?
I'm going to go with Kyron Williams.
Kyron.
Same, Kyron Williams.
Last three here, more fantasy points. Matthew, DK Metcalf or Kenneth Walker?
DK Metcalf.
Kenneth Walker.
Ooh, Kenneth Walker.
More total yards, Najee Harris or CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb.
I'm going to go Najee.
My guy 8, CeeDee Lamb.
More passing yards, Patrick Mahomes or Derek Carr?
I'm going Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Patrick Mahomes.
All right, we got to.
There you go.
There's all our bar trivia. Now we got to do our picks for the Sunday Night Football game tonight. Cowboys catching 3 at the Steelers. Who do you have?
I think the Steelers win, and I think the Steelers cover. Let's go.
There we go.
Steel up. Steel up. Curtain down.
There we go. Lawrence, what's your pick?
Yeah, at this point, the Steelers, they're just a better football team all around. I actually like the alt line. I think they're a touchdown better than the Cowboys, so I like the Steelers on -5.5. So
Steelers for me too, George. Better team. Dak Prescott's going to be running for his life. Hope he knows who TJ Watt is.
Any alt lines?
Yeah, I think this could get out of hand. I think the Steelers kill him. I think it's a bloodbath.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Field
I
of
already made
dreams.
my pick. Steelers -3. I'm with Jay. I think Steelers could win by double digits to get
that's
to 4-1.
right.
You got a
right.
clean sweep here.
Steel
and we're
up.
all going to be at the game in the Steel City
Yeah,
to see
Steel
Cowboys
up.
Steelers on Sunday Night Football. We got 30 seconds left in the show.
I just want to take one moment here to thank everyone. Applebee's has been an unbelievable host, and thank you everyone for showing
appreciate
up.
it.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh showed up.
There we go, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh showed up. Let's go. Let's go. Steel up. Steel up. I'm going to make Steel up a thing.
It's trending.
It's trending. There you go.
Here we go.
Hey.
Here we go, Steelers.
It's
Here we
Clayton
go.
time. You don't have to go home, but you
Here we
can't
go,
stay here. For
Steelers.
Lawrence,
Here we
Jay, and
go.
George, I'm Matthew. For everyone at Applebee's, good luck today. Go get your win. Peace out.